So I decided to take every single VR headset that I could possibly find, and I put them all on a wheel, and we're gonna spin it 10 times, and whatever we get, I'm gonna rank on this tier list right here. But before I start, you guys gotta know, this is all just my opinion, because this is all just for fun. Your list could look completely different to mine, and I'm not saying everything that I have on my list is true, it's just what I believe. But without further ado, let's give this wheel its first spin. I have over 60 headsets on this wheel, so we're gonna get something good. Alright, the Vive Flow. Okay, that's a very interesting one to start off. And when I say that, I mean it was very unique. You just don't see many headsets that look like this. Well, it came out in late 2021, and its resolution per eye was 1600 by 1600, so not that big, but not too small either. And its field of view was roughly about 100 degrees. So this one did try to do something different than the rest. This headset really wasn't made for gaming at all. It was supposed to be an easy way to watch movies and TV shows and stuff like that. And this was advertised to take it with you, so no PC here. I mean, this is really small and compact. It was so compact that you could even put it like in its own little cup. And this headset didn't even come with controls either. You controlled it with your phone. But here's the catch. At the beginning, you could only use an Android phone, so any Apple users couldn't use this. A couple months later that they would fix this, but when that happened, people kind of already moved on from this. And people who love to play VR games already said no to this immediately. But at least the price wasn't terrible, coming in at $500. So this headset was daring and trying something new, but it didn't really work. An interesting idea that just doesn't catch on. And because of all this, I think I'd have to put it in C tier, because I at least appreciate the attempt of what it was trying to accomplish. I think it was trying to have a less means more approach, but it just ended up being less just meaning less. Alright, that's enough of the flow. Let's spin the wheel again. Who knows, it might even land on your personal favorite. The Vario XR4? Huh, I actually don't know a lot about this headset, so let's see what it has to offer. So this is a high-end headset that was made in late 2023. We all know that high-end headsets are very expensive, but how expensive was this one? And would you believe me that this headset cost $3,990 with controllers? That's just way too much. There's no way anybody's gonna drop almost $4,000 on a headset, and if you're telling me that you are, you're lying. Now the specs I'm gonna say are really good, but it definitely doesn't justify this price. Well, one of the reasons why the XR4 is so expensive is because the resolution per eye is 3440 by 3744, and for modern standards that resolution is just massive. And you know what else is massive? The field of view on this headset, which comes at 120 degrees. And since this is a more modern headset, it has mixed reality capabilities, so you're not missing on any of the AR titles. And another reason why this thing is so expensive is because it has built-in eye tracking, so that any social game, wherever you look, your character looks. For some of you, you may not care about this feature, but some of you may really care about this feature, just depending what type of VR enthusiast you are. And lastly, this thing is only a PC headset, so you have to have a whole PC to run it, so you need a pretty good one to run this. But you don't need to set any base stations up, so that's pretty nice. So if this headset was completely free, it'd be all the way up in S. But since you're going to be dropping $4,000 on this headset, I just don't recommend it. So I think I'm just going to have to put it in C tier. Is it amazing? Yes. Is it $4,000 amazing? I don't think so. Alright, enough of the Vario. Let's spin the wheel once again. Hopefully we get a headset that's not so, expensive. The HTC Vive Pro Eye. You can already tell what the gimmick is for this headset, but I'll still go over it anyways. So this headset came out in mid-2019. It had all the exact same specs as the HTC Vive Pro, except you guessed it, there's just eye tracking built into it. And even in modern day, a headset having eye tracking in it is still not really widely seen. And the resolution per eye on this headset was 1440 by 1600. And the field of view was around about 98 degrees. But this headset was made in 2019. PC headsets were still pretty common. And this headset was no exception. You needed a PC and base stations in order to use it. So if you already had the base stations and controllers, then if you only wanted the headset, that'd be $800. But if you did need the controllers and base stations, then that would be $1,600. So yeah, pretty expensive, especially for the average consumer. But back then, eye tracking was very new, and this was one of the easiest ways to do it. So for the time, it does kind of make sense. Obviously, in modern day, no one would get this, but you know, back then, this is actually pretty decent. Some people really care about eye tracking and some others don't. So because of that, I'd say this headset goes pretty well in B tier, because I feel like that's pretty reasonable, right? Well, that's enough of that. Now let's give this wheel another good spin, preferably not another HTC headset. Ooh, Pimax AK Plus. Wasn't expecting a Pimax, but I'll go over it. So this one came out in early 2019. So right out the gate, this is a PC headset where you need a PC and base stations in order to use it. But if you already had those, the headset itself is $900. But if you needed all that stuff, it would be $1,450. I mean, if this doesn't tell you this is high end, I don't really know what will. Well, the resolution was 3840 by 2160. So just like the Vario I just talked about, even these numbers are still high to this day. And I know I said that the Vario's field of view was massive, but this one's even more massive, coming in at about 154 degrees. Alright, cool, but what else is this thing that makes it so expensive? Well, nothing else really. I don't know, maybe I thought there'd be like eye tracking, full body tracking, cool controllers, but no, this is it. No extra cool bells or whistles, it's just this. I would like to say more about this headset, but that's it. High resolution, high FOV, that's the gimmick. Which, I mean, that's okay, but that's just kind of boring, so I think I'd have to put this in C tier. I mean, it's a fine headset, it just doesn't do anything really cool. It also doesn't help that this headset looks exactly like the other half of Pimax headsets. You can't even tell them apart. I'm getting bored just talking about this one now, so let's just spin the wheel again. I mean, the headset wasn't bad, it was just forgettable. The Oculus Quest 1, love to see it. I've already covered this one on the channel, but hey, I'll talk about it again, I don't mind at all. So the Oculus Quest 1 came out in the middle of 2019. Its resolution per eye was 1440 by 1600, and its field of view was about 93 degrees, and it would be about $400 to $500 depending on how much storage you wanted. Alright, that seems like a pretty low end, so why is it so good then? Well, because this was one of the first successful standalone headsets. Sure, we've had standalone headsets before, but they were not as good as this one. Also, a VR headset for $400? That was insane at the time. At this time, you needed a PC in order to use one, and this was the cheapest option. Yeah, this headset didn't want to stay behind the lines. This single-handedly gave millions of people to VR. There's a lot of people who wouldn't have gotten to VR if this didn't exist. But it gets even better, because a few years later, this headset would be able to do hand tracking. That's right, so you wouldn't need a controller and you'd be able to use your hands to grab and use stuff. Sure, it wasn't good in every scenario, but just being able to do it was insane at the time and is still really cool. The only drawback about this headset is that its power isn't really that good. The FOV is small, the resolution is not that big, but I still love talking about this one. And for that, I have to put this in A tier. This has not changed from my previous list. And to be honest, I don't think it ever will. I don't want to stop talking about this headset, but the wheel must be spun again. Hopefully we get something as good as the last one. Vario XR1. Alright, well let's see what the Vario XR4's oldest brother has in store. So this headset came out in early 2019. So the resolution per eye is 1440 by 1600, and the field of view is around 87 degrees. And this headset, you needed a PC, and it didn't even come with controllers either. And you also needed base stations just to use it as well. But without controllers is a pretty weird decision. So all that doesn't seem good, but there's a reason for that, because this is what makes up for it. This headset was one of the first to have not just hand tracking, not just eye tracking, but also mixed reality capabilities. And mixed reality capabilities back in 2019, that was insane. And the reason for that is because this wasn't a consumer headset, this was mainly made for companies. So because of that, it must be really expensive, right? So my guess is it was about $1,000 to $2,000, because it can't be that bad. Oh, wait, oh, I'm reading this number right. I'm reading it right. This headset costed $11,995. And that's just the headset itself and not even controllers at all. I didn't know they made them that much. I had no idea. Like, of course nobody's gonna get that. You could buy a car for that much money. Okay, it would be a used car, but still. Mixed reality, hand tracking, and eye tracking do not justify this price at all. And the specs themselves aren't even good either. This headset is just atrocious. There's no way. This has to go in D tier. If there was an F tier, I would have put it on here, but I didn't have an F tier because I didn't think I'd need one to go that low. Just get this thing out of my sight. Just spin the wheel already. Just spin it already. I don't want to look at this thing anymore. The original Vive Focus? Well, it's better than the last one, but not by much. So this headset came out in the middle of 2019, and its resolution per eye was 1440 by 1600. So for the time, that was okay, and I couldn't find a field of view on this headset, so I'm just gonna say it's probably about 100 degrees FOV, or at least somewhere around there. HTC is a more familiar company, and most of you probably haven't heard about this one. Well, that's because this headset was mainly used for working for companies and not for the average consumer. But this headset didn't really need any base stations or a PC at all. And surprisingly, this is cheaper than I thought, being only $600. But there is one reason for that, and that's because this headset came with only one controller. That's right, one, and it's just this weird, small looking one. There's just really not much you can do with it. And this controller only had 3 degrees of freedom, and not 6 degrees like almost every other single controller has. So your movements with it were completely limited, and it just made a bunch of games unplayable. The majority of them you just can't play because you're only allowed this controller. So I've ranked this headset before in a previous video, and my ranking has not changed at all. This is still a D tier, because it doesn't really matter how good the specs are. If you can't play the majority of the games, then what's the point? Not much else to say about this one. We just gotta spin the wheel again. We really got 2 D tiers in a row. We can't get a third one, can we? The Pico Neo2 Eye. Well, it sounds like it's going to be better, so let's see what it's got. So this one came out right in the middle of 2020, and it has the exact same specs as the Pico Neo2, but of course, it has eye tracking built into it. So then this headset would be about $200 more than the Pico Neo2, coming in at $900. So the resolution per eye was 2048 by 2160, which that's pretty close to a Quest 3, and the field of view was roughly about 101 degrees. Some of you have never even heard of Pico, and there might be a reason for that, because Pico isn't available in America at all, only available in Asia and Europe, so I can't blame you too much for not knowing. And there's nothing weird or too crazy about this headset actually, and you don't need a PC to run it at all, so a standalone headset with eye tracking for $900 was pretty good. You know, I'm actually quite surprised. It really does suck that this isn't in America. I think it would be a really good competitor with Meta, and because of that, I think I'd have to put this headset in B tier. A little more expensive than I'd like, but you know, other than that, this is still really good. And I really hope one day that Pico isn't banned in my country so we can have a little more competition in the space. It was nice talking about an actual good headset for once, but we still gotta spin the wheel. We only got 2 more spins left, so let's make them count. The Pimax 4K. This was Pimax's first ever headset, so let's see how it did. So this headset came out in late 2016, so this one's pretty old. The resolution per eye was 1920 by 2160, and for the time, that was huge. And its field of view was about 110 degrees. Now, even though this headset came around the same time as the Oculus Rift CV1, it actually shares more in common with the Oculus Rift DK2, which came out 2 years prior. And there are a few reasons for that, because the Pimax 4K didn't come with controllers at all. You'd have to get your own, and not your own hand controllers, you'd have to get an Xbox controller. Yeah, exactly the same way how the Oculus DK2 did it, because this headset only allows 3 degrees of freedom, which means you can turn your head, but you can't move your body at all. So all the new cool interactive VR games that no one's ever seen before, you can't even play with this thing. And the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift CV1 already existed at this time, so it seems like if you got this headset that you'd be disappointed because it can't do what the other new ones can do. The only really good thing about this headset is that it was pretty cheap compared to the rest, only being $375, but you still needed a PC, but at least you didn't need base stations, I guess. Well, it didn't need any because it's only 3 degrees of freedom, so that makes sense. So yeah, it was cheap, but I mean, it just couldn't do all the same things that the new ones were doing. This one was kind of a hard choice to rank, but I think I'd have to slightly give it to D tier. Sure, it had a high resolution at the time, but that's all it really had for itself. And yeah, it was cheap, but you can understand why it was so cheap. And now, looks like we gotta spin the wheel one more time. But before we get to doing that, if you've liked this video and have gotten this far, I would suggest subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate it if you did, and if you don't want to, you can also just leave a like, that helps too. Who knows, this video might even get a part 2. But with all that being said, let's get this wheel its final good spin. So let's see what our final headset to review is. Vario VR2, are you kidding me? I still haven't recovered from the last one I reviewed. Well, the wheel says we gotta do it, so let's just get it over with. So this headset came out in late 2019, and its resolution per eye was 1440 by 1600, which is the exact same as the other Vario I just covered, and its field of view is only 87 degrees. This thing just really seems so similar from the previous one I just covered, it's almost like it's a copy and paste. They also came out in the exact same year too, which is really weird to me. I mean, it has almost the same things as the other one. It didn't come with controllers, you need a PC, you don't need base stations, has eye tracking, hand tracking, VR capabilities, all that stuff. The only thing different is the price, which comes in at $4,995. Okay, well I have no idea how they figured out how to cut it in half, but good for them. Still, $5,000 for this thing? It makes more sense, but really? But it almost feels like I already covered it, really. I'd just be repeating myself. So it's pretty much the exact same as the last one, but a little less expensive. So this was a close one too, but I'm feeling a little generous right now, so I'm gonna give it a C tier. Maybe you think it should go in D, and you know what, I wouldn't blame you for it. And with that completes my list. I think this is a pretty well-rounded list in my opinion. And if you don't think so, you can leave in the comments and say what I got wrong. Who knows, maybe you think the Vario XR1 is S tier for some reason. But that's about it from me. So thank you guys for watching, I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later.